Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Table Talk. I'm your host, Jake Combs, and tonight we are looking at Warhammer The Horus Heresy, Age of Darkness. Now, this is available for pre-order as of today, and this was provided to us in advance for the purpose of making this video with you guys. And so thank you to Games Workshop for sharing this with us. Now, with the Horus Heresy game, other than Adeptus Titanicus, I've never played any games that actually take place during that timeline, or part of the timeline rather. I've only played 40K and Kill Team and Aeronautica Imperialis otherwise. And so, I don't know how this game plays. Now, from my memory of the books, it wasn't until much later in the war that psychers were introduced, and so my suspicion is that it's going to play very much like common 40K, or at least the current edition, but minus the psyker stuff. And my understanding is that also in Age of Sigmar, the only forces you have are loyal or traitor, with no other armies in there. I know during that time, there were fights with greenskins, there were fights with other humans. My understanding is that the Necrons were sleeping during that whole 10,000 year span, and Tyranids had yet to make it to this part of the galaxies, and so they were out of things. The Tau had not evolved enough to actually, be a threat at this point. And, so that basically leaves the Eldari as the only real other force during this period, other than the Greenskins. And my suspicion is that they mostly were keeping to themselves during this time. My guess is this might be also during the time of kind of their kind of big kind of fractioning, where you first got Eldari and Dark Eldari, or Drukhari, I believe is what they're called now, and kind of them splinter apart, and their wars with each other and chaos, and so that probably kept them out of things. But as far as that goes, that's my guess. Now, I also stopped reading the books by book 21, and last I checked, there's now 36. So there's been a lot that's happened as far as the war goes, that I have not read. And, honestly, I probably won't get to, just because of the fact that, more modern 40K and Age of Sigmar books are definitely grabbing my attention a lot more lately, especially the Gaunt's Ghost books being my favorites. So, I spend most of my time reading from those. Now, to start off with, we have a ton of models from what I can see in here. This box is very heavy. It's much heavier than the recent Kill Team one that we did not too long ago. And so let's go ahead and dive right in. So right off the bat, we have two things that I haven't really seen in a GW box set in quite a while. And that's our Explosion and Flame templates, as well as our ruler sticks. So let's set them out of the way. And then we have our first Marine sprue. Now, I'm looking and just trying to see if there's any obvious indication that would kind of identify which one is traitor and which one's loyal. And it looks like these first two sprues are exactly identical. So we're just going to set one aside so it's out of our way. And, compared to the more modern Space Marines, these do have a little bit more detail because the armor is much different. But at the same time, there's not a lot of options as far as like weapon choices you can have. You know, beyond a lightning claw or a chain sword attached to a power fist, or a power sword. Looks like a flamethrower as well. You know, most of the actual guns themselves are just kind of the double bolters, without a lot of other options there. And then we have this one, which is kind of more of our accessory sprue. And let's see. So that's actually 2 of those. Make that 3 of those. And 4 of those. Okay. So I'm guessing that both sides get access to the same upgrade sprue. We have our 2 main character sprues. Each get their own. So set those aside, as they are very different. So we'll take a look at those closer. All right, this one looks like it's actually part of the actual vehicle itself for some of the weaponry and some of the hatch options. So we have another duplicate sprue here. Times 4. More of the Land Raider pieces. And what's cool with this is, with the Land Raider, I believe it only comes with 1 in the box. You can actually decide which faction gets it, because it actually has got emblems for both Loyalist and Traitor, which is really cool. And then we have some of the more generic pieces that are more for holding parts together, as well as the actual doors themselves to the sides. And then some more panels for the Land Raider as well. It's got some good details for the vents, but not a lot else externally other than kind of like 1 control panel. So found 4 more of that same sprue. And then we have more accessories for the Land Raider, as well as some different weapon options as well. Now, from what I've read, the weapon options that you have actually give you a more modern weapon option. So supposedly, and I'm not certain about this, but supposedly, because of those weapon options, you can actually use this Land Raider in modern games of 40K. And then we have our last Land Raider based sprue. Kind of looks like some tanks that are going to go on there, as well as all of the tank tread itself. And then we have our divider. And then, so on one side, it does list, multiple different types of tanks and stuff. But my understanding is you only get 1 of them in this kit. We have probably one of the fattest, heaviest rule books I've ever seen from Games Workshop. I'm gonna open that in just a minute. We have our assembly guide, which surprisingly is all black and white. Not sure what the decision was there, but my guess is that since so many of the Space Marines, regardless of which faction, look identical or are the same assembly instructions, that they probably didn't, spend as much time putting that out. We have our bag of dice, including our artillery dice, one big base. We have our trader decals. And then the rest of our bases. All right, so we're looking at the Land Raider sprues. This is the last one for the Land Raider. Actually, I take it back. I see one more. Another weapons sprue. So here we are with the Space Marine sprues. Now, I think I figured out why the Space Marine sprues have been basically, quadruplicated. And that's because at the core, even the heavier armed Space Marines are still using the same body setup, and then you're just changing which weapons they're loading out with. Now, obviously, the two best looking models are your two character models. Definitely like the extra attention to detail there. And then personally, this one right here is actually my favorite of the completed models that they have on the back of the box. But definitely going to be fun to give them some extra attention as well. All right, so getting that out of the way. Now, again, I've never played a game of Horus Heresy. The closest I've ever been is just reading the books for the most part. And from what I understand, the actual Horus Heresy series itself is done. It's now turned into basically Volume 2, The Siege of Terra, from what I understand. But again, I haven't read past book 21, so I can't say with certainty. All right, and then one thing I didn't notice at first is on the back, we do have kind of an ad banner for the Horus Heresy, the Siege of Terra, as well as books on most of the Primarchs. And then we have our quick reference sheet as well, one for each player. And they are 4 total pages for each one. And then opening up the rule book, there is a ton of lore in here. So far at page 101, and still more lore to go. All right, there we go. So it looks like the rules all start on page 146. So that's looks like just under half of the total rule book. And wow, this book is heavy. I do like the style of how they've done some of the pages with the kind of faded artwork below all the writing, and definitely gives it a different character. But I do like that they have some very detailed drawings for different actions. And there actually is a section about psychic powers, so I was wrong on that guess. Now, what I would like to see is games of, Aeronautica Imperialis and Adeptus Titanicus and, either 40K or Horus Heresy basically line up and I forgot what I was going to say. Wow. I do apologize for all the yawning. It's almost 3 a.m. here while I'm filming. And then what's interesting is after the rules, it goes into the section called Gaming in the Age of Darkness, which is on page 254, which tells you a little bit more about modes of play, and then goes into the actual armies built by different members of Games Workshop team members. Like right here we have the Raven Guard example that they have. We have the Death Guard. So I remember what I was saying now. So, my idea for, a kind of all-out offensive campaign, basically having, the teams basically trying to drop off, like, their troops. So Aeronautica Imperialis, is coming through, and basically their goal is to deliver the troops, and the other team's goal is the same. So maybe have it, like, set up to where whoever's troops actually make it, gets maybe 100 extra points or something like that. And then to go from that to, Adeptus Titanicus and have, kind of more of the larger scale war, and then, centralize it on the main objective or something with the two actual factions. And I have seen instances where some players have done that. It just didn't work out terribly well. So after that section, it gives you more rules about warlord traits, some actual specific battlefield showcases that their team has done, including a spaceport, a hive war zone, excuse me. And then finally in page, let's see, looks like 311, we start actually setting up the missions and going on missions, maybe to recover your friend or maybe, deliver supplies or recover supplies, things like that. So definitely some cool stuff. I really like their font choice for their headings. It definitely makes it really stand out. With the amount of fluff that's in here, I definitely would have had them basically do it as like 2 books, like one being a supplement, one being the core rules, maybe. So just something to consider, but definitely some cool stuff in here. I'm really looking forward to trying this game out. I've actually not talked to anyone about playing it before, so I have no idea what to expect. Don't know how it compares or how similar the rules are, but definitely looking forward to giving it a try, and really look forward to building that the Light But that's it for me tonight. Thank you guys, as always, for watching, and I hope you all have a great night. Thank you.